welcome to the Fly Racing GNCC post-race show. We're here in Somerset, Pennsylvania for the Mountain Ridge GNCC. We're going to continue our new format for the show, bringing in riders that were, involved in all the action on the race for this weekend. This weekend we've got Josh Strang with us. Obviously we talked about last race. Josh had a bad race and was looking for a little bit of redemption this week at a track where he had historically done okay besides last year. So it was looking for a little redemption. Got off to a pretty good start behind Paul Whibley, and you guys went at it. Take us through that first part of the race there.
Yeah, well, the first 4 laps for me went good, and I got into the lead and led that first lap until I came into the pits and managed a pretty spectacular high side. So, yeah, it was good. I ran up front all day and felt good. Suzuki worked really good, and just had some bad luck. I tightened up a brake lever there towards the end, and yeah, that was I dropped off Charlie and Caleb there, and I was lucky to get third in the end.
All right, so in the beginning of the race, you, Caleb, and Charlie really started to kind of pull yourselves away from Nate Canny and Paul Whibley, who were kind of battling for 4th and 5th, but a good bit behind you guys. What was it like going out there? And the track looked pretty gnarly. Yeah,
it was tough. There's a lot of open stuff where you can go fast, and then there's the tight stuff where one of us, Charlie, would be leading and he'd crash, and I'd lead and I'd crash, and then Caleb would lead and he'd get stuck or crash or something like that. And that's what happened basically the 4 laps. We were making mistakes, and it's a track where mistakes happen. And I think to win this race, you have to be there at the end. And Charlie did that good, and he rode a good race today.
All right, so take us through what happened. Like you said, you guys were riding, the 3 of you, pretty tight there for a while, and then obviously you said you had a problem with your brake lever that ended up letting Caleb and Charlie pull away from you.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to explain. The foot peg pushed up against the brake pedal and squashed the bolt and tighten the lever up. So just stupid stuff is happening, and I could use the brake until it went all the way down. Then it just quit working. So I had to pull into the pits here and loosen the bolt a little bit to get it working again. So by then I'd dropped back to 5th. For the last lap.
All right, so that was on the last lap. You pulled out of the pits right behind Canny and Whibley, so you put yourself into 5th, and then so that last lap was a pretty good battle because you guys ended up catching up to Caleb Russell, who ended up had a crash of his own, which dropped him back, left Charlie pretty much out there in no man's land. He was about a minute ahead of you guys, but we had 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th all right in a tight pack there.
Yeah, Charlie was in the right spot there this afternoon with my brake problem, and then Caleb crashing. He took advantage of all of it, I guess, and had a good day. And then Nate and Webbs, the last lap, were going really fast. So it was tough for me. I had to catch up, and then a lap went down, and I managed to ghosty my bike. I think you caught that on camera. So I was gooning out halfway around that last lap, and yeah, I mean, it's interesting for spectators, and it's exciting.
All right, so take us through the last few turns. You kind of got a good view of what happened between Paul and Canny, because those guys came in, battling back and forth, and you end up being the benefactor of what went down.
Yeah, well, just as we left the rocky section, it's pretty fast all the way to the finish there, and I was a little bit back, and then Webbs pulled out a Supercross move, I think, and put a bit of a block pass on Nate, and slowed him right down. So I got to catch right up to the back, and then that 2nd and 3rd last corner, Nate railed around the outside and hit the Can-Am banner, I guess, and went down. So that was hit for him. And I mean, Webbs was smart on his part, pulling out some moto moves. Webbs getting some style happening and getting the job done, I guess. I mean, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, so now you guys, the points race is really starting to tighten up. Mullen's kind of pulling away a little bit with Webbs getting 2nd. He's kind of inching back even closer to you guys. It's going to be pretty intense these last 4 races.
Yeah, it's definitely closer than what I would have liked to it have been, if that makes sense. And yeah, but Charlie's had 2 good races, and that's what you got to do. And I've found out that your 2nd championship is definitely harder to defend. And I haven't given up. We've still got 4 races left, and Webbs is coming on strong like the Badger does.
So it'll be interesting. And another championship we got going on, stuff you probably don't get to see too much of because you were out front. In the XC2 Pro Lights class, we had a pretty good race going there early on. Jake Korn came down and raced with us for the first time this year, I think, and he was winning. And actually, at one point, him and Jordan Ashburn, I think, were in the overall lead. And then Jake ended up having some problems. Andrew DeLong moved into the lead for a while. Then Jordan Ashburn moved into the lead. And the whole time, Jason Thomas was kind of moving his way up to the front. Stuart Baylor, again, had another bad race. So it's kind of, the guys that had been leading the points early on in the season in both classes are kind of in a tight spot coming into the last few races. So it's going to be pretty interesting in both classes for sure.
Yeah, the XC2 class, those boys definitely aren't scared to pin it. And with the two strokes coming in and being able to race, I mean, I think it makes it more exciting. And both classes this year, the XC2 and XC1, like you said, they're tightening up. And I think for all the riders, it's stressful and there's a lot of pressure. But for the spectators and people watching from the outside, it's exciting. So hopefully that brings more people to watch it and keeps it interesting. So yeah, those boys, unfortunately I don't get to see them race. Got to ride with a couple of them last week after Unadilla, and yeah, they're definitely on the wild side, some of them. So I mean, it's interesting, exciting, and they'll learn a lot. I know Ashburn and Thomas and
Baylor. Yeah,
Baylor, sorry. They catch up to the XC1 guys sometimes, and they'll learn and get faster for sure.
Yeah, definitely, and they're kind of taking. Obviously, we can see Caleb moved up, and he's running with you guys a little bit now too, and battling for some podium finishes. So it's the progression, the next level. So it'll be cool in a few years. We've got all these guys in the XC1 class. It'll be really interesting. But I guess that's pretty much it from Mountain Ridge. It was an awesome race. Can't wait to get to the next race. It's been one of the craziest seasons ever, and the races keep getting more interesting. So thanks, Josh, for joining us.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll see you guys in a couple weeks from St. Clairsville.